Hi, I'm Jan Mazotti at the 2013 Biennial of the Americas. Today we are looking at how we reinvent business here in the hemisphere and create a new normal. And with me right now is Marisa Drew, the head of global markets at Credit Suisse. And Marisa, the question really is why does a company like Credit Suisse come to the Biennial of the Americas and participate?
Sure. Well, clearly we're a global organization, and for us, interconnectivity is what makes our business tick. So we're financing the world's corporates. We also view ourselves as an important member of society and the communities that we operate in. And if there's an opportunity for us to make those connections and also answer some of the big questions that face us, challenges of the world, we want to be a part of that agenda. So that's a big reason why we're here.
Absolutely. So this morning when we heard you speak and you've been around all day long, you talked a lot about gender diversity and the role that women will play in reinventing the new normal of business. And so is gender diversity, in your opinion, really a factor in driving this conversation forward?
Well, it has to be. If you think about half of the population is made up of women. So whether you think of women as consumers, if you look at the numbers now in the U.S., women can control 38% of the wealth in the U.S., so they're making purchasing decisions. If you think about women and how they operate and interact with each other. I mean, all of this, if you can harness that power, there's clear studies that show if you are actually engaging women and they can be put on par with men, you can actually increase the GDP of countries. So all of these factors come into play. And I think one of the specific questions people have asked is, there seems to be this chicken and egg question about gender diversity on boards.
Yes.
So is it the fact that there are more women on boards that lead to better performance of companies, or is it just the fact that enlightened companies have more women on their boards?
Right.
And I would have to say, I really do believe it's the former, although it's almost statistically impossible to prove. So what we have proven is when you have diversity on boards, you seek better performance. So better share price performance, better return on equity, whatever metric you want to look at. And I would say that the way to perhaps dig a little deeper is there's also extremely strong correlation in those returns if you have more than one woman on the board. So then you begin to ask yourself, is it really the enlightened companies, or is it the fact that you have people in the boardroom that think differently, that ask the tougher questions, that challenge the companies to think about different issues and get away from groupthink? I think if just intuitively you've got to believe that that's making a difference.
Absolutely, which leads me to the question of, we've talked a lot this week about closing all kinds of gaps, the education gap, the immigration gaps, the technology gaps. Obviously, the gender gap is a huge issue as well. How, in your opinion, what are 3 ways that we could move forward, take some baby steps to close the gender gap in the hemisphere?
Well, I think you have to come at it in a bunch of different ways. So the top-down approach is in governance. So you get more women on boards of companies and they're part of the governance equation. They're going to be looking out for the next generation of women and making sure that they're successful in their businesses and in their careers. They're also going to make sure that the companies are sensitive to women's needs as consumers or customers or vendors. And then the other thing that we have to do from, I would say, a grassroots level is making sure that we are providing the access for women, and particularly women-owned businesses, to capital. One of the statistics that we certainly know is that women-owned businesses are the recipients of 95% of microfinance, and that's wonderful, but those are small dollars and small businesses. If we could take that capital, give it to women in scalable business, in size, show them how to attract capital, how to write business plans, how to scale their businesses, then we can make huge strides, I think. And then the final equation is on the political front. It's clear that access to education, access to flexible work policies, access to maternity policies across the world make a huge difference in terms of getting women into the workforce. And, there are about 1 billion women that are outside the economic system. And if you can imagine what it would be like if we could harness those 1 billion people and make them productive members of society, we can make some huge changes.
Absolutely. So my last question, Marisa, the Biennial of the Americas is really about getting those collaborations started and those conversations started. Do you, in your opinion, from a multinational organization, as well as a participant here in the hemisphere, do these conversations move the needle forward? And if so, why?
Well, I would say they definitely do. The energy in our room, in our clinica today, was palpable. So people were fired up, and they were really coming together with these different perspectives, diverse perspectives, coming at these big problems and challenges that we face in our society. And I think anytime you get a diverse group of people around the table thinking creatively and bringing their shared experiences, you're going to solve problems in a more creative way than if you were homogeneous. So really mashing these people together who wouldn't ordinarily come together in their day lives, I think, makes a big difference. So that is one factor for sure. The second thing is, even if you make little tiny connections. So I walked away from our clinica day with probably about 50 business cards, and people were genuinely wanting to figure out ways to get together, whether that is concrete business ideas, whether that is just sharing thought, what have you. Even those individual connections that you make in a forum like this is going to make a difference. It'll make a difference certainly in my life, and it'll make a difference maybe collectively if we all come together in these big challenges.
Well, Marisa, thank you so much for being here. I'm Jan Mazotti at the Biennial of the Americas 2013.